Heather.
Valerie.
Hi.
Hi.
Other people are around.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Helena.
I don't know how many people are going to come today.
I don't know. You did say a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, maybe
today,
I should have sent earlier a reminder, but I must say I was so busy with all kinds of stuff that
I think that's how
think
everybody
about
is at the moment. And then you suddenly realize you haven't done anything.
Yeah. But okay, I mean, we can, at least part of the co-authors are here. So basically what we have to do is we have to decide how to deal with Hans's remarks. And I think, yeah, it's not, I mean, they aren't too difficult to actually take into account. So it shouldn't be too much work. And I think when we've done that, we can actually submit.
Which would be great.
Yeah. So I think we should definitely strive to submit this before the summer holidays. So for me, it means I'm going on holidays around the 20th of July. And so that's still like 3 weeks from now, or 3 or 4. So before that, we should definitely get it finished, and maybe even before that, because I really think it's not that much work to incorporate these comments. So maybe we can just, should I share my screen? Then we can just look at the paper. Let me see whether, can I share my screen or?
I think you should be able to.
Let's see.
We're quite a lot of co-authors short, aren't we? So it'll be a question of trying to allocate jobs, probably.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's just go through them one by one. So, so the first one is basically about the references that we had in the paper. Hans complained that we put in too many references to our own papers, and that is maybe a bit unbalanced. I mean, there's a simple way to deal with this, just delete some of our own references, and for the rest, don't do anything else. Somewhat more demanding would be to think about, are there important key references that we are now missing that could replace, let's say, some of the ones that are to our own papers. Of course, we can also have references to our own papers, but yeah, in a sense, Hans is of course right that we put in a lot of references to stuff that we worked on. So this is, I think, a job that maybe everybody should do for their own papers. Look at what is reference, is it really needed, and think about, are there other key references that we don't name now and that we could include. Of course, we also don't want to increase the number of references a lot, I think. So I think it should be maybe a balance of just reducing some of the ones that are maybe less important, and maybe adding some that we haven't had in now. So I would say this is a job that everybody can do for their own part, their own section, and own papers.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to remember that the paper's not intended to be a review paper or to have that function.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, if we find that, yeah, there are not other papers that we want to actually include, I mean, we don't also have to include references just to have references. I mean, that would be nonsense. but just take another critical look at it and see whether, yeah, whether we can make it more balanced. If not, then it's also, I think, for me, I don't see it as a big problem, but yeah, we don't want to, let's say, come over to the reader as just promoting our own work. So yeah, we should just make a critical effort to look at it again. And I don't know, maybe Valerie or Dennis, if you read those texts, maybe you can also look at it with this point of view to see, are we missing anything out? Or maybe we can also, I don't know whether there are other people who are, let's say, working on other challenges papers who could kind of cross-read this one and see whether we are missing important key references.
I mean, quite a few of the people, the co-authors, in fact, the majority of them, I guess,
yeah, okay,
are
yeah.
involved in other papers. So hopefully,
I mean, the problem with at least the COVID literature is that it's growing so fast that you can hardly keep track of the key papers. But okay, maybe also, let's say, on other topics than COVID, there might be important papers that we could still add. Okay, that's just a job for everybody. Then another comment was that we didn't have a lot of references to the previous challenges papers. And there are, of course, a couple of these papers that are relevant. Not only the ones that Hans mentions here, but also, yeah, you know, there was a paper, I think, on household modeling and on network modeling. I could try to integrate more of that into the introduction, which is maybe a natural point to put that in. So now I know that I have only very limited, let's see, what do I have here? Yeah, I only wrote, we built on progress since publication of an earlier series of challenges papers. And this reference that I put in is to the kind of preview. So it's the kind of preface to the whole special issue with these challenges papers. But I could expand here a little bit and put in references to some of the specific challenges papers. That would be my solution to that. Because
yeah, I think this is something that's cropping up, of course, all across the.
Yeah, and of course it's clear. It's a good comment. I mean, I think it's justified. It's just more that it is maybe on our side. We didn't go through the effort to actually going back to those papers and reading what were the conclusions then and what did we add to these conclusions now, which maybe I can do at least to some extent.
Yes, and to some extent it's possible that some of the, I mean, I honestly don't remember, but for other papers, sometimes, you know, we've tended to review what was happening up to 2015 rather than sort of taking that volume as a starting point and moving forward.
Yeah.
So perhaps we can.
And now, of course, some of the challenges of that time are still there now, I think, because within 5 years you don't make that much progress. But okay, there are also new developments. So,
well, hopefully the new developments you pick up in the various sections. But it would also might be quite nice if one can do it concisely to say, you know, what things have been achieved in the last 5 years. as well as what's outstanding. But of course, that's all takes space.
Yeah,
for-
that takes a lot of time,
yes,
which I don't have before middle of July. So, so unless somebody else thinks he or she can dive into that, I think we can't do it as. The other thing is that would add even again not to the word limit or to the
Sure.
word count. So it would, because I mean, if you really want to discuss that, you would need at least a new paragraph to put that.
I think all one can do is if it's feasible to put in a few sentences
Yeah.
summarizing the position. But I mean, to go through and really do it properly, as you say, would take quite a lot of space,
Yeah.
a lot of work. But you know, if there is anything that can be said quickly and easily to give a sort of overview of
Yeah.
how things have changed.
So maybe that's another task for the authors of the various sections, if they can find a link to a specific challenges paper of the previous edition and put in a reference to that, that would maybe also help.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, then the next comment is about overlap with other challenges papers. So for the other chapters of this issue, yeah, that's of course, I don't know, I can't really do anything about that without reading all the other chapters, for which I also don't have time. So I think we just have to accept that there is some overlap. I also think that it's not really a problem because yeah, I mean, I think such a chapter should be also readable in itself without having to cross-read all the other chapters. So if it's not too much overlap, which I can't really judge, then for me, that's okay.
I'm not sure, because I'm losing track of what happened when. I suspect, I mean, Hans refers to the data chapter, which I think he probably hadn't read when he was commenting on this. So it was perhaps more a general comment than you know, specific issues of overlap. And my guess is that with the data chapter, there isn't so much of an overlap, but possibly more with the estimation chapter, I suppose, which Ben is.
Yeah, I'm very happy to go. I'm sort of co-author on all of those three papers, so I'm happy to do that. I've just had a quick look and there don't seem to be any suggestions on my section, so I will have a bit more time to look at some of the more general.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember seeing any huge overlap with the estimation paper, and specifically we've tried to avoid talking about interventions too much in that paper because we knew they'd be discussed here.
And certainly the first few chapters, I mean, papers, Hans was reading without having seen the others, but when we get to now, I'm not quite sure what he's already seen when he's making comments.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, when did you get his comments back on estimation, Ben? Was it a few weeks ago?
A few weeks ago, yeah, probably nearly a month ago now, yeah.
Yeah, so I think he'd seen that one before this, but obviously he hasn't seen the modelling one. Sorry, no, he has seen the modelling one, I'm talking rubbish. But the data one was definitely afterwards, I think.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the main thing is that each one is self-sufficient and can avoid too much overlap, so much the better.
Yeah, then here Hans added the comment that apart from the, let's say, standard type of data, surveillance data, and so on, there's also a new type of data, namely the data that's supplied by the public, so citizen science collected data that is being collected by app use and similar kind of digital methods. That's I think a very good point, which we haven't maybe emphasized enough.
We have discussed that in the estimation paper, so if we're trying
Yeah.
to avoid too much repetition, we could just reference
Okay.
the relevant section.
Right. So
there.
we could put in here somewhere in this
Also,
section a reference to
I
the
remember there
estimation.
was a sentence about a potential for data from app users in this.
Yeah, there's
maybe
there are,
too
of course, some
short.
references, for example, to mobility data.
And yeah, it is something like private health.
So
let me
let's
check.
see, so here in the section behavioral and adherence data, there is something about mobility data. So maybe we could just add here one sentence to say that there more generally there is a lot of data coming available from app use and other digital how do you call it, digital methods, tools, and it will be a challenge in the future how to analyze these kind of data, and then we can reference to the estimation chapter.
Yeah.
So which chapter is the estimation? Which number?
Number 7.
7. So I'll just put in here.
Right. So there is something in the paragraph starting with understanding adherence to regulations in the page you have here.
In which page?
This page, sorry, this page. If you scroll up a bit,
Yeah.
this one paragraph that starts with line 243. So actually in line 245, we have something about the importance of digital resources. This is maybe little, this is very little, but maybe we can link something.
Yeah, okay. I think maybe we should, maybe I'll add a comment then to this paragraph. But you know what Hans meant more explicitly was not only using digital tools, but also, you know, that it's collected via citizens, so not collected.
Oh, I see. Okay.
From respondents that are recruited by scientists, but that, you know, people can sign up to use a certain app, and then this data is collected and can be used. So it has certain biases and things that are maybe not present in data that is collected based on some recruitment strategy.
Okay.
But okay, I'll just add maybe one sentence somewhere and then refer to chapter 7. Let's see, what does Hans say here about vaccine hesitancy? It's a challenge for modeling to obtain insights into vaccine hesitancy and the possible spread of this as a contagion. Yeah. I mean, this is something that has been done, or at least also in my group, we are working on these kind of models where things like vaccine hesitancy are spreading through a population. And I know that there have been models like that, but of course there is a lot of open questions related. So I don't know exactly what Hans thinks we should do here.
Maybe just mention it as a challenge.
And
just mention that modeling this vaccine hesitancy as a contagion in the population is a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure that's something we talk a lot about in the data paper as well. So again, it could just be a quick reference.
Which paper?
To the data paper, chapter 8.
Data. I mean, yeah, I guess it's not in the vaccination paper.
no, I don't think so.
No.
There's a lot of work more generally on spread of information and rumors and all those sort of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
On similar models, and I guess the issue is really sort of combining the two together in a single model.
Which number is the data chapter?
8.
Number 8.
Yeah, okay, we'll just add some remarks. Okay, this should be variant. Okay, I agree. I'll change that. That's no big deal. I think that there is a need. That's okay, well, so in a sense, he is suggesting that modeling can be useful not only, let's say, after something like vaccination or treatment has been developed to look at what is the impact going to be, but also to help with assessing, let's say, what kind of properties does a vaccine or a treatment have to be of substantial use, and also to look at, for example, if there are products that have a lower effectiveness but can be used in a broader way, they might be just as useful or effective as something that is very specific but can be only used in a very targeted way.
That's also been done, no? When there is no yet vaccine, but people just make a study to say what the properties would be. I don't know.
Yeah, it is done. I mean, it has been done for many things, like there are papers about HIV vaccination and how it should be deployed. I think there were also papers about vaccination for COVID before it was actually developed. So I think that is not really something that is new. But what's maybe new is, or let's say more a challenge for the future, is to use modeling already for the setting up of trials and these kind of things. So for example, how it was done for the Ebola vaccine, that the modeling was actually used to design these ring vaccination trials, but that's something that we did mention here. And I expect actually also that is something that is in this vaccination paper by Beth Halloran, because she is focusing on designs, on vaccine trial designs. So I don't want to actually expand on that here. So I'm not sure how much of this I want to actually include.
There is something in Betsy's paper. I mean, one could just cross-refer, but I don't remember what she's got there. One would have expected her to say something about it.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, in how far this approach is also possible for things like treatment, I don't know actually. Because treatment is, let's say, more kind of clinical question, which you first have to, there's the population aspect only comes in a second step. So I'm not really, I don't really have a good idea what to do with this comment. I mean, what comes to mind is, of course, antibiotic treatments, where the question of development of antibiotics is coming up very often because, the old ones don't work anymore. We always have to develop new ones. I don't know whether modeling can play a role in that process. So that would be then something under treatment. Yeah. I don't know. I have to think about this a bit, whether I have an idea how to maybe include it in just one or two additional sentences. But if any of you have an idea about it, go ahead and provide some suggestions. Let's see. Adherence, as with vaccination, there are social distancing refusers. Yeah.
That's similar to the.
That's, I think,
previous
quite a
question.
specific question. I mean, yeah, of course, that's something one needs to look at in this context of uptake and adherence. Maybe, let's see. We can maybe just add like one or two words to say that also the social distancing hesitancy might be a problem in future times. Okay, here Hans said that we are kind of overestimating possibly the importance of contact tracing. Yeah, okay, this is maybe a bit too strongly worded here, that this is one of the main modeling challenges. I can just tone that down a bit. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, so I think we can actually accommodate these comments with small changes in the text and here and there an addition. So we should maybe decide on how to go about this, let's say more practically. So there are two possibilities. Either I put this document as it is on Google Docs so that everybody can write into it, or we kind of agree on a way to do this via track changes and Word. I don't know what will work better. Any opinions?
I think word track changes probably makes more sense considering there aren't that many.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think so the easiest way is probably that everybody works on their own copy of the document, makes comments with track changes, and that I then kind of put it together at the end.
I was thinking it actually depends how we want to, if we want to split tasks, or if you are going to take care of most of the comments and then we comment on that. Because if you want some help, maybe working on the same Google Doc could be easier.
Yeah, or we, I don't know, or we send one document around from one person to the next, but then we have to kind of agree on who can work when on the document.
You've got I was just trying to count, you've got about 15 co-authors, aren't there?
Mm.
So that's quite a lot if you try to do it sequentially.
Yeah, that takes too long probably. So maybe Google Docs would be the easiest, you know, at least for the
Also, maybe
start.
so we could also check the references that others suggest
Yeah.
or that are suggested to take out.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe let's do that and then pull it together at some point. Okay, I'll put it on Google Docs and then everybody. So put then your changes in with suggesting in the just suggesting mode so that I can see where people have made changes. And then we also should agree on by when these changes have to be made so that we have kind of a deadline when it needs to be finished. Let's see, I'll look at maybe I'll stop sharing my screen. Let's see, how does it work? Oh, here. Okay, today's June 25. I mean, I don't know how busy everybody is. Would it be possible for you to do this until next Friday?
We can try, I guess.
Yep.
I think the issue is the ones who aren't here, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
some input from all of those as well.
Well, okay. If there are no loud protests, then let's do that. So I'll send around an email with a link to the Google Doc, and I'll write to everybody, to all the co-authors, that we strive to get the changes and comments by July 2nd. And if somebody can't do it before that time or until that time, they should let me know. So if they want to comment but need more time, they have to actually let me know explicitly. And then I could tie everything up on the 2nd. Well, actually, I'm getting my second vaccination on that day, so I'm not sure how well I will be with doing any work, but I can try.
2 hours, doesn't it? It's the next day one feels a
That's true, yeah. So then I would, based on that, I would make then the final version, send it around the last time to everybody, and then submit.
Sounds good.
Do we need we don't need a big cover letter, Valerie?
No. You don't need any cover letter. I mean, the one thing you do need, I think you probably had an email from Kira about suggested reviewers.
Yeah.
So on the website, when you submit, you have to to suggest some, I think, but I think the maximum there, I think they asked for 3. But we've been struggling a bit because the papers that have come in so far, they have a lot of co-authors. And so you think you found possible reviewers, and then they write back with some sort of saying they've got some sort of conflict of interest with one or other of the reviewers. So we were thinking it would be really helpful to, even if it was just to us rather than formally on the website, to have a few more people where you've actually between you checked that there aren't any obvious conflicts of interest.
I think for this paper is not so difficult because most of the authors are from the UK. So if we, for example, take US reviewers, we're already.
Now that's good. I mean, the other thing, of course, is that, as you've been saying all along, everybody is so incredibly busy.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people
that's really a
just say they haven't
problem.
got time, so one does need quite a lot of good ideas.
To
try and get people who aren't quite so busy. Or willing to take them on anyway.
Should I actually ask Hans whether he wants to be a co-author, or how did you do it with the other?
He went. I mean, you can, but that wasn't the sort of understanding on which he did this, and I think he wouldn't be expecting or intending. I mean, if he'd made some comments on a paper which really meant let's start, well, perhaps not start again, but let's develop a major new section working with him, then that might be a different matter. But I don't think for these comments, I think what one might naturally acknowledge them in the, presumably, I haven't looked, but you've got some acknowledgements at the end, I expect. And that would be good. And did you ever get, there was somebody else, I forget her name, that was going to look, but was very.
Viola, she actually then withdrew because she was too busy. She didn't have time to do it.
Okay, so that's fine.
And I mean, you and Dennis, you also didn't want to be co-authors.
No.
Even though you spent so many hours on these telephone conferences.
Yeah, but we didn't do the writing, so that's part of the editor's job, I think. No, neither of us have contributed enough to warrant authorship. So.
I mean, people have become co-authors for much less.
Well, there we go.
Okay.
Is there anything else that we can suggest to make your life a bit easier? I'm not quite sure what. I mean, when you write to the various co-authors, with the feedback from today, are there any particular bits that you want particular people to look at, or it would be helpful? Is there any way of sort of getting a bit more input to help with your effort?
Well, there are basically 2 things. One is with these references, that everybody looks at their own, let's say, papers and own part to see whether there are maybe key references that we should still add. And the other part is about possible links and references to the previous challenges papers. To see whether we can put that also into the sections.
I think I was just, so those are both things that apply, to everybody. And I was just wondering, is there anything else?
But I mean, for the rest, there aren't that many comments. And of course, I think everybody should look specifically at the comments also that are referring to the section that they wrote. And see whether they have a specific idea how to include that. Otherwise, I think it's not that much work. I mean, I welcome all suggestions. Just feel free to make suggestions.
Could you please, because I missed the first part, what I was confused by is that when you said that the meeting is at 3, I thought 3 UK time. I mean, before the meeting,
Oh,
UK
but I
time.
wrote.
And then I decided, I'm gonna check because it would be 4 o'clock our time, so it sounds late.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
why I
wrote
was late.
3 p.m. Central European time, actually.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes, you did, I noticed. Because I always
Okay,
have
I
to
was
stop
already
and
afraid
check.
that it would be confusing, but
Oh,
it's always
well.
with these times.
Okay, then I didn't read it even carefully. My bad, because I guess I was in a meeting. A mail came and I thought 3 o'clock stick, but the time, no. But I just wanted to ask, because you discussed this without me, regarding the references. What is the goal? To add references, to delete references, to put better references?
Well, there is not. Well, the goal is not to add too many new references. But to look critically at whether the references to your own work are, let's say, really the best ones or all needed. And maybe, and to look at whether in your area that you wrote about, whether we are missing any important or key references to, well, just to try to make it a bit more balanced, but not by adding a lot of new references, but by kind of.
I mean, I agree with Hans, because there are a lot of good papers and it's very hard.
That's true.
I mean, the only thing to
To
say,
include them all. I mean, in one paper where you just one topic, you sometimes even there struggle to choose only the limited amount of references that are good, but it's such an overview paper with so many things that it's really hard.
So we can't be complete anyway. That's not the aim, but just to balance it a bit more, to kind of not get this or create the impression by readers that we are just promoting our own work, but that we also look at what other people have done.
That's what was my feeling, that I was asking, and you said that it's normal that we are promoting our own work. We are also writing it based on our experience and so on.
It is true, and I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, but yeah, of course it should be, to some extent balanced. I mean, if you only reference your own work, it gives a bit of strange impression.
Yeah,
I think in general, though, with the whole volume, we are aiming just to have essential references and not to review the area. So if it's not needed as a key reference, regardless of who it's by, it probably doesn't need to be included.
Should we all also make these suggestions for reviewers, for example? I mean, you can drop a couple.
If you have suggestions, of course, please.
If I think of Portugal, who could review it, it's Gabriela Gomes, for example, one person.
Yeah, she's a very good suggestion.
For example, and she's, I don't know, probably I don't know whether she had with other people like recently co-authored papers, but maybe not so much looking at the list.
No, I think she wasn't also involved in the Newton workshop, was she?
No, not that I remember. I imagine she would have been invited, but I don't think she was much involved.
From the US, it could be Jeffrey Shaman, for example, and we actually cite him also, or he has a postdoc who is a Pensei. He's already he's a senior already, more researcher. So
what's his name?
He's a Pensei. He edited this Frontiers. I think he edited the Frontiers special issue on COVID. He was one of those people who did that. So but he works in the US with Jeffrey Shaman and beside them. So I don't think that he doesn't have that much overlap also with co-authors.
Of course.
If these are just reviewers, we must make sure that at least they're the most prominent relevant papers also included.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Of course, somebody like Mark Lipsitch would be suitable, but he has probably no time.
I suspect he would decline, but one could try. It's been quite hard to get him involved with things, so
I can imagine.
I think he.
But maybe also somebody like
Pejman Rohani,
Oh yeah, good idea.
he worked on COVID also, actually.
I guess every modeler worked on COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
That anybody didn't. And maybe Jeff Garnett or
Yeah. Then there's from the, what's her name? Yeah. Actually,
Emma.
Vittoria Kolitsa, she's also not involved in any of this, right? So from Europe.
She has been, I think, but not in this specific paper, but in the.
Okay, but she's probably also super busy.
What about Emma McBride? Has she been involved in the Newton?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, that doesn't rule her out. She hasn't been involved in this paper at all, has she?
Yeah, we already have quite a long list.
Yeah, we can people maybe suggest there, because I guess maybe Francesca, for example, she might know somebody from Canadian more researchers or so who, yeah, I don't know. So we have a selection to help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Then we have a plan for the coming week.
Thank you. and it's the plan. The plan is to meet again at the same time, i.e. 2 o'clock UK or 3 o'clock.
No, I will know that I will be not.
Right.
Well, at 2 o'clock I have my vaccination. I can't
so well
make it.
Will you let us know what would work?
Yeah, okay. I mean, we could, if we could meet at 3 o'clock our time, so that would be 4 o'clock in the UK. Is that okay for you?
It's perfectly okay for me, but I don't know about other people.
So 4 o'clock Europe and 3 UK, or?
Oh yeah, it's the other way around. Oh, sorry. Yeah, 4 o'clock. No, what did I think now?
I think
no, the same time it would work. Now I'm getting confused. So because let me see, my vaccination is at 2 o'clock my time. So I could meet at 3 o'clock our time. So that would be 2 o'clock UK time.
The same as
today.
Does that make it too tight for you in terms of that timing, or?
No, that's okay. At least if it's as efficient as last time, it's perfectly okay.
Good.
You might struggle typing though. We'll need a note taker.
Are you volunteering, Helena?
I think I just did accidentally. Oh well. The one thing that happened to me, no symptoms, but my arm just was gone immediately.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, well.
Okay, then yeah, let's meet again next week at the same time.
Perfect.
And let's hope that we can then really wrap it up.
That would be very good. Yeah.
That would be great, yeah. To have something still finished before the summer.
Yes. Let's just hope there's going to be some summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's looking distinctly autumnal here today.
Oh, really?
Grey and threatening to rain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here it's also a bit grey.
Anyway, okay. So
okay. Well, thanks everybody, and have a good weekend.
Yeah, and you take care.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye. Bye-bye.